I realized that although pretty much most people that you meet complain about work, the monotony of work, the fact that most of us are forced into doing these disgusting commutes, doing a dirty shift, coming home, eating, rinsing and repeating. This can be actually very useful. This whole work of a thing, it can be very useful. What's the evidence? The evidence is in the idea or is in the memory of COVID. COVID. Why COVID? How many patients did I meet who literally had mental health breakdowns simply based upon the fact that they were in a lockdown? I don't even need to bring figures in this case. Anyone who is a sentient creature and lived in that time will know how that affected people's psyches. The isolation, the lack of direction, the fact that there was in effect a countrywide incarceration. This was extremely detrimental. You may have realized that although working, like I've mentioned, has benefits, clearly demonstrated by the example I've given, there is still something remaining that needs to be said, which is that underlying complaint of being or feeling like we're on autopilot. What we are saying though is that this underlying feeling of being on autopilot should not in of itself be interpreted as being lazy or being misconstrued as being lazy, stupid or sheepish, as is so commonly thrown around haphazardly online. I think the better interpretation of this autopilot is akin to conditioning. Like many things in this journey meaning the series that we're going to undertake, we'll realize that things have their place. And this self-same thing can be positive, meaning this autopilot of a thing can be a positive thing when you are inadvertently forced to deal with difficult tasks. Our brains have a operating system, you can say. Our brains have an operating system, default settings. They are designed to make things easy. Your brain is always looking for the easiest possible way to do something. Therefore, if it learns a pattern, it tries to run that pattern with as little conscious effort as possible. This is why, for example, sometimes when you have a route, let's say you have a route to work, walking, driving, whatever, even taking public transport, you have the route to work. And then you need to go somewhere that is on the route but not exactly the same way. Maybe there's a change somewhere, a turn somewhere, getting off and getting on somewhere, whatever. You'll realize that the day you decide to go to that new place, somehow, for some reason, your body, your mind, automatically goes in the way that you know. What does this mean? This is synonymous. This is like saying that once your brain learns a pattern, it doesn't really distinguish whether, it doesn't add anything to that pattern. It just wants to go through the pattern that it knows. What am I meaning by this? It means that once the pattern is learned, your brain does not distinguish if this thing is good or bad at this point in time. It just simply wants to conserve calories. It's not out here trying to do some advanced thinking. Now, this is how you find yourself scrolling on your phone for 3 hours. You find yourself screaming, angry, for no apparent reason at the slightest word someone has said against you. You find yourself, even though you told yourself a million times you're not going to hang around with these people, you're hanging around with the same people. This is all a loop. This is all conditioning. This is all a pattern. In the end, if we don't try to understand these patterns loops and consciously apply discernment, which is something that we've clearly demonstrated that our minds will not do on our behalfs. Our minds will not do it on our behalfs. If we don't consciously add that level of discernment or apply that discernment, we will keep repeating the same mistakes, or better understood, patterns. Why? Because the opposite is actually by design. Your brain functions in the way we've described by design. This is how we get to some of the calamitous statements that people may say, or this is how we can reinterpret some of the calamitous statements that people say, such as, it's not my fault, I just got bad luck, mate. Or even worse, this is just the way I am. This is just the way I am. These statements, for lack of better terms, are nonsense. Rather than being a reflection of who a person is, these things that happen to us, these everyday occurrences that happen to us, should be better interpreted as a reflection of what has been rehearsed, what has been conditioned. Neurologically, we're going to explain something neurologically. If I explain something neurologically, or if we explain something neurologically, it should not be understood as the only explanation. This is where a lot of people make mistakes, I think. I think this is one layer, this is one layer of a larger picture. The picture is valid, this layer is valid, but it doesn't mean it is the only explanation. But that being the case, neurologically there exists a part of the brain called the basal ganglia. The basal ganglia. What's the basal ganglia? This basal ganglia is thought to be the place that our habits call home. Once you've done a thing enough, this is not necessarily restricted to physically as well. This can also be emotionally. Emotionally, patterns of thinking. But anyway, once you've done a thing enough, emotionally or physically, your brain will now save that file, quote unquote, and run it automatically. Just like if anyone's tech savvy, how you can set up a program to open automatically when you open your computer. Interestingly, just to give us a bit more depth in understanding or a bit of nuance to understanding what this basal ganglia is, when the basal ganglia is said to be dysfunctional, it is said that this is in relation, or this relates to Tourette syndrome and OCD syndrome, both of those manifesting, of course, as repeated, sometimes involuntary actions. So we can see what this part of the body does. Therefore, now, we can say that when people say stuff like, I don't know why I'm doing this, what they should be saying is, I don't know how I got programmed like this. The brain, in this case, is not acting with discernment. The brain is simply carrying out its own natural processes and programming, its default settings, meaning it was running automatically. Now, we can make it run in manual, but that's not even what we're saying. We're not even saying that. We're saying that rather, let's look at it in a slightly different way, which is that everything, these bodily processes, the brain is a physical part of your body as well. Just like your heart beats, your brain, even though thoughts are, intangible, that's a philosophical point, but thoughts are intangible, your brain is a physical thing. It exists in the real world. In any case, even though things have their place, rather these bodily processes, do have their place, and they can be manipulated both positively and negatively. I.e., if this same automatic process was a source of harm, this same automatic process can be manipulated to become a source of benefit. How? This is by adding the ingredient of awareness, adding the discernment factor. This is the reason why we need to delve deep into the depths of ourselves and gain this thing called discernment and awareness. And this is going to be the major point of the videos moving forward. Now, I don't want to simply end on just speech. We want to attach our speech to action. Okay? So we have an activity for the end of this episode, which is I want you to sit down, get yourself comfortable, and I want you to objectively look at your week. Objectively. For me, today is Saturday, so I can look at my working week. I want you to pick one thing that you've done automatically, mindlessly, and repetitively. I repeat, pick one thing that you've done automatically, mindlessly, and repetitively. Example, arguing. Example, procrastinating. Example, doom scrolling. Example, stress snacking. Ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, why did I do that? Number 2, when did I start doing this? Number 3, what emotion was connected to this? I add a caveat. Your choice of words for emotion, or the particular emotion that you felt, is irrelevant. It's not for anyone else to view, it's for your own self to view. So for example, some people's word they use for anger might not be necessarily another man's or another person's use of the word anger. It's irrelevant. So don't get caught up too much in trying to figure out the exact word. It's more about you understanding what you're trying to say. It's for you to reflect upon. It's not for you to present it to the world stage. So and again, if you're struggling to find the words or find the exact way to express it, that is fine. We are still working. Why? Because the aim of this exercise is not necessarily to be able to, with precision, express your exact reasoning. The aim of this exercise is to simply warm up that muscle. For a very long time, we have been in a coma. And when a person is in a coma, they lose the ability, as is well known, they sometimes can lose the ability to move some of their ligaments, their body parts. So the person, the therapist, in trying to help them gain control of the various parts of their body, starts them off slowly. No one's expecting you to be able to walk straight away. We have to just make sure we're even aware of what that muscle, or even aware of that muscle. So the moment we start thinking down this line is the moment we can start manipulating, and the moment we are aware of this muscle is the very moment we are able to start hopefully manipulating it. And finally, I want to leave us with one quote, which is, and remember, to not develop yourself is in reality to regress, since stillness in nature is not a possibility. You may have to think about that one for a while to understand the meaning. Yeah, that's the end of the episode. In any case, we're going to start from the jump. We're getting straight to it. We're going to start, what's it called again? We're going to start some one-to-one sessions. If you're interested in a one-to-one session, you have my Calendly link. Book yourself a session, pay me the money, and then we can start going from there. We have a course that's ready for the people, and we can start benefiting and working together to hopefully edit the way in which we think when it is detrimental to our progress. Thank you, and next episode. Until next episode.